Sarah Chun had always been proud of her dorm room. Third floor, room 3C at New Geneva University. The walls were covered with her engineering diagrams, star charts, and photos from her home on Earth Colony 7. Her roommate had moved out last month, leaving her with the entire space to herself. She liked it that way. More room to work on her projects. The evening started like any other. Sarah sat at her desk, working on her final project for advanced quantum physics. The assignment was theoretical: design a device that could manipulate space-time on a small scale. Most students were submitting paper designs, mathematical proofs that would never be built. But Sarah was different. She was actually trying to build it. Her parents had always said she was too curious for her own good. While other kids played with toys, Sarah took apart electronics. While they watched movies, she studied how things worked. When humanity first made contact with the Galactic Federation 5 years ago, Sarah was one of the first students to volunteer for the exchange program. She wanted to learn everything about alien technology. The device on her desk looked like a metal cube, about the size of a coffee mug. Wires connected it to her computer, and small crystals from her xenobiology class were embedded in its surface. According to her calculations, the crystals would focus quantum energy in a way that could bend space around the cube. It was supposed to make objects disappear for a few seconds, then reappear. Just a simple test, Sarah whispered to herself as she checked the connections one more time. What could go wrong? She activated the device at 11:47 p.m. The cube hummed quietly, and the crystals began to glow with a soft blue light. On her computer screen, energy readings climbed slowly. Everything seemed normal. Then, the numbers started jumping wildly. Sarah reached for the emergency shutdown button, but before she could press it, the world exploded in white light. When her vision cleared, Sarah found herself lying on the floor. The device was gone. In its place was a perfect sphere of absolute darkness, about 3 feet wide. It hung in the air above her desk, not touching anything. Around it, space seemed twisted. The walls bent inward toward the sphere, and her furniture stretched like rubber. Sarah tried to stand, but her legs felt weak. Something was wrong with the air. It tasted metallic, and breathing took more effort than usual. The sphere pulsed gently, and with each pulse, the distortion around it grew slightly larger. She grabbed her emergency communicator and called campus security. "This is Sarah Chun in room 3C. I need help immediately. There's been an accident." The voice on the other end sounded bored. "What kind of accident, miss?" Sarah looked at the floating sphere of darkness. "How could she explain this? I think I've created a space-time anomaly in my dorm room." There was a long pause. "Is this some kind of prank?" "No. Please, just send someone up here. And maybe call the physics department." Within 10 minutes, Sarah heard footsteps in the hallway. Dr. Martinez from the physics department arrived first, followed by 2 security guards. They stopped at her door, which was still open. Dr. Martinez looked into the room, and his face went pale. "Dear God," he whispered. "What have you done?" The sphere had grown. It was now almost 4 feet wide, and the distortion around it was affecting half the room. Sarah's bed was stretched into impossible shapes, and her desk had partially disappeared into the warped space. "I was just testing a quantum manipulation device," Sarah said weakly. "It was supposed to be harmless." Dr. Martinez pulled out his scanner and pointed it at the sphere. The device immediately started beeping frantically. "This is reading massive gravitational distortion. The space-time curvature is off the charts." He looked at Sarah with a mixture of amazement and terror. "You've created a miniature black hole." "That's impossible," Sarah said. "My calculations showed it would only create a small temporal displacement." "Your calculations were wrong." Dr. Martinez was already backing away from the door. "We need to evacuate this building immediately." But as they watched, the sphere pulsed again, and this time the distortion reached the walls. The entire room seemed to fold in on itself. Cracks appeared in the ceiling, and they could hear metal groaning throughout the building. "It's growing," one of the security guards said in a shaky voice. "Dr. Martinez grabbed his communicator. "This is Martinez. We have a code red situation in Dormitory C. Evacuate the building now and establish a perimeter. Contact the Galactic Federation Emergency Response Team. Sarah watched in horror as her mistake grew larger and more dangerous by the minute. Her simple experiment had created something that could potentially destroy the entire university. But even in her fear, part of her mind was already working on solutions. Humans had always been good at fixing their mistakes. She just hoped they could fix this one before it was too late. The sphere pulsed again, and the floor beneath it began to crack. The evacuation alarm blared through the night as students poured out of Dormitory C. Sarah stood in the campus courtyard, wrapped in a blanket, watching her former home through the emergency response team's equipment. The building looked normal from the outside, but she knew better. Inside, reality itself was breaking down. Commander Veltar of the Galactic Federation Emergency Response Unit was a tall, blue-skinned Altarian with 4 arms and eyes that could see into multiple spectrums. He had seen many disasters across the galaxy, but his expression grew more concerned as he studied the readings from his scanners. "In my 300 years of service," he told Dr. Martinez, "I have never seen anything like this. The human has created what appears to be an unstable wormhole. The gravitational distortion is increasing exponentially." Dr. Martinez wrung his hands nervously. "How long do we have? At current expansion rates, the anomaly will collapse the building within 6 hours. If it continues to grow, it could affect the entire city within 24 hours. Sarah stepped forward. "There has to be something we can do. I created this thing. I should be able to stop it." Commander Veltar's 4 eyes focused on her. "Young human, what you have done should be impossible with primitive technology. Our own scientists have been working on controlled space-time manipulation for centuries without success. How did you achieve this?" Sarah pulled out her tablet, showing him her designs. "I combined quantum resonance crystals with a modified electromagnetic field generator. The crystals were from my xenobiology class. They're supposed to be from some ancient civilization. The Altarian skin changed from blue to a pale green, a sign of surprise in his species. These crystals, where did your university acquire them?" "From the Archaeological Exchange Program. Professor Williams said they were harmless mineral samples from a dead world in the Vega system." Commander Veltar's 4 arms moved rapidly across his equipment, pulling up star charts and database entries. After a few moments, he made a sound that Sarah's translator couldn't interpret. "These are not simple crystals. They are precursor artifacts, fragments of technology from a race that vanished millions of years ago. We have strict protocols about handling such materials." Dr. Martinez looked confused, but Professor Williams said they were cleared for student use. "Your Professor Williams has made a dangerous error. Precursor technology is unpredictable and often beyond our understanding. The fact that this human was able to activate them at all is..." He paused, looking at Sarah with what might have been respect. "Remarkable." The building shuddered, and new cracks appeared in the walls. Through the 3rd-floor windows, they could see distorted light patterns, reality bending around the growing anomaly. "Respectfully, Commander," Sarah said, "we can discuss my remarkable stupidity later. Right now, we need to figure out how to stop this thing before it kills people." Commander Veltar was quiet for a moment, consulting his database. "There may be a way. Precursor artifacts respond to specific harmonic frequencies. If we could generate the correct counter-resonance, we might be able to destabilize the anomaly and cause it to collapse safely." "What frequency?" Sarah asked immediately. "That is the problem. We do not know. Each precursor artifact has a unique harmonic signature. It could take our computers weeks to calculate the correct frequency." Sarah looked at the building, then at her tablet with its recordings from the accident. "What if we don't have weeks? What if we only have hours?" "Then this city will become a crater," the commander said grimly. But Sarah was already thinking, "Commander, do you have the harmonic frequencies your people have tried on other precursor artifacts?" "Yes, but there are thousands of them. Testing each one would take dash, not if we test them all at once." Sarah was getting excited now, the way she always did when she was solving a problem. What if we created a broad-spectrum harmonic pulse? Instead of trying to find the exact frequency, we hit it with everything and see what sticks. Dr. Martinez shook his head. Sarah, that could make things worse. If you hit it with the wrong frequency dash, it might grow faster, yes. But it's already growing. At least this way, we have a chance. Commander Veltar considered this. It is reckless, but human recklessness has been known to solve problems that our careful planning could not. He activated his communicator. This is Veltar. I need a full harmonic analysis team and a broad-spectrum pulse generator. Emergency priority. Commander, came the reply. That equipment is on our ship in orbit. It will take at least 4 hours to transport it down. They all looked at the building. In 4 hours, there might not be anything left to save. Wait, Sarah said suddenly. What if we don't need your equipment? The university has a music department with professional sound systems, and the physics lab has electromagnetic field generators. If I could modify them to work together. Commander Veltar looked skeptical. Primitive human equipment cannot generate the precise frequencies needed. Maybe not precise, but loud. Sarah grinned, despite the danger. Sometimes you don't need a scalpel. Sometimes you need a hammer. She was already running toward the physics building before anyone could stop her. Behind her, she heard Commander Veltar speaking to Dr. Martinez in a voice filled with amazement. Your species continues to surprise us. She should be terrified, but instead she sees this as a puzzle to solve. No wonder humans have adapted so quickly to galactic civilization. Sarah didn't hear the response. She was too busy planning how to turn a university's worth of equipment into a weapon against her own mistake. The anomaly pulsed again in her former dorm room, and she could feel the building shake even from here. Time was running out, but Sarah Chun had never backed down from a challenge yet. The physics lab buzzed with frantic activity. Sarah worked alongside 3 other students who had volunteered to help despite the danger. Word had spread quickly through the campus, and instead of running away, dozens of students had offered to assist. It was Commander Veltar, noted with amazement, typically human behavior. Hand me the phase modulator, Sarah called out as she worked under a massive electromagnetic field generator. And someone needs to run a power cable to the music building. Tom Rodriguez, a senior engineering student, was connecting fiber optic cables between computers. Are you sure this will work? We're basically jury-rigging million-dollar equipment with duct tape and hope. Hey, human engineering at its finest, Sarah replied, not looking up from her work. My great-grandfather helped build the first Mars colony with less sophisticated tools than this. Outside, the situation was getting worse. Dormitory C was now noticeably leaning, its structure warped by the gravitational anomaly. The sphere had grown to nearly 10 feet in diameter and was starting to affect neighboring buildings. Emergency crews were evacuating a 6-block radius around the university. Commander Veltar monitored the anomaly's growth from the courtyard, his 4 arms working multiple instruments simultaneously. His team had never dealt with anything like this, but they watched the human students with growing respect. Where Galactic Federation protocol called for careful planning and extensive safety measures, the humans simply rolled up their sleeves and got to work. Commander, his communications officer reported, the Federation Council is demanding a full report. They want to know how a primitive species managed to create precursor-level technology. Tell the Council they are asking the wrong question, Veltar replied. The question is not how they did it, but how quickly they can fix it. Inside the physics lab, Sarah made the final connections between the field generator and the computer system she had built. The machine looked like something from a mad scientist's laboratory, cables running everywhere, multiple screens showing wave patterns, and enough warning lights to illuminate a small city. Okay, people, she announced. In theory, this should generate a broad-spectrum harmonic pulse covering every frequency the commander's database has recorded for precursor artifacts. We'll start with low power and ramp up until something happens. And if nothing happens, asked Lisa Wong from the music department, who had helped connect their sound systems to the array. Sarah looked out the window at the leaning dormitory. Then, we try something else. Humans don't give up easily. She activated the system. Immediately, a low hum filled the lab, so deep they could feel it in their bones. Computer screens showed hundreds of frequency patterns cycling rapidly through the electromagnetic spectrum. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, through the windows, they saw the anomaly pulse differently. Instead of its usual steady rhythm, the sphere flickered. "It's responding," Tom shouted. "The gravitational readings are fluctuating." But their celebration was short-lived. The anomaly suddenly expanded rapidly, growing from 10 feet to 15 feet in seconds. The dormitory building groaned and tilted further. "Shut it down," Dr. Martinez yelled. "No, wait." Sarah studied the readings on her screens. "Look at the pattern. It's not just growing randomly. The fluctuations are following our frequency sweep. We're getting a response, just not the right one yet." Commander Veltar burst into the lab. "You must stop this immediately. The anomaly is destabilizing faster than before." "Commander, look at this data," Sarah said, pointing to her computer. "The sphere is resonating with specific frequencies. We're getting harmonic feedback on frequencies 7,241, 12,056, and 18,933. Those have to be important." The Altarian's skin changed colors rapidly as he processed this information. Those frequencies, they correspond to harmonic ratios used in precursor mathematics. "You may have found something." "Then, let's try them in combination," Sarah said, her fingers flying over the controls. "Instead of a broad spectrum, we'll focus on just these 3 frequencies and their harmonic relationships." Outside, the building was now tilting at a dangerous angle, and chunks of debris were starting to fall. Emergency crews had pulled back even further. Sarah isolated the 3 frequencies and began broadcasting them in mathematical harmony. This time, the effect was immediate and dramatic. The anomaly stopped growing and began to pulse in sync with their signal. "It's working," Lisa exclaimed. "The gravitational distortion is stabilizing." But Sarah wasn't satisfied with just stopping the growth. She began adjusting the phase relationships between the frequencies, watching as the anomaly responded to each change. It was like conducting an orchestra made of twisted space-time. "What are you doing now?" Dr. Martinez asked nervously. "I'm trying to reverse the process," Sarah replied, sweat beading on her forehead from concentration. "If I can find the exact inverse of the resonance pattern that created this thing, maybe I can make it collapse safely." Commander Veltar watched the readings with amazement. "This should not be possible. She is manipulating precursor technology by intuition alone." Sarah adjusted the final parameter and held her breath. The 3 frequencies combined into a complex harmony that seemed to make the air itself vibrate. Through the window, they watched as the anomaly began to shrink. 10 feet, 8 feet, 6 feet. Then, something went wrong. The harmonic pattern destabilized, and the anomaly began growing again, faster than before. "The resonance is breaking down," Tom reported. "The frequencies are drifting out of sync." Sarah looked at her equipment and realized the problem. Human technology, as improvised and jury-rigged as it was, couldn't maintain the precise harmonic relationships needed for more than a few minutes. "We need more stable frequency generators," she said. "Our equipment isn't accurate enough for long-term resonance." Commander Veltar looked at the readouts and made a decision that would have shocked his superiors. "I'm going to do something that violates several Federation regulations," he announced. "But human resourcefulness deserves to be matched with appropriate tools." He activated his emergency communicator. "This is Commander Veltar. I am authorizing the immediate transport of precursor harmonic research equipment to the planet's surface. Override all safety protocols." "Sir," came the shocked reply, "that equipment has never been tested on a planetary surface. The risks are acceptable. Transport immediately." Sarah looked at the commander with gratitude. "Thank you. Do not thank me yet, young human. The real test is still to come." The Galactic Federation transport beam materialized in the physics lab courtyard, depositing equipment that looked like it belonged in a science fiction movie. Crystalline structures hummed with energy, and displays showed symbols that hurt to look at directly. The technology was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. "This is a precursor harmonic analyzer," Commander Voltar explained as his team quickly set up the equipment. "It was recovered from ruins in the Andromeda sector and has taken our scientists 2 centuries to partially understand. You will be the first human to operate it." Sarah approached the alien technology with a mixture of excitement and respect. The interface was unlike anything she had ever seen. Not buttons or screens, but flowing patterns of light that seemed to respond to her thoughts as much as her touch. "How do I control it?" she asked. "You do not control it," the commander replied. "You collaborate with it. Precursor technology is designed to work with the operator's mind directly. Think about what you want to achieve, and the machine will show you how." Sarah placed her hands on the crystalline interface and immediately felt a strange sensation, as if the machine was reading her thoughts. Suddenly, she could see the anomaly not just as a sphere of darkness, but as a complex web of energy patterns that extended into dimensions she couldn't even name. The machine showed her how her original experiment had gone wrong. The precursor crystals hadn't just bent space-time. They had punched a hole through it, creating a connection to somewhere else. Something was on the other side of that hole, and it was trying to come through. "Commander," Sarah said urgently, "this isn't just a black hole. It's a gateway. There's something alive on the other side." Commander Veltar's 4 eyes widened in alarm. "That is impossible. The other side of a precursor gateway should lead to empty space." But even as he spoke, the anomaly pulsed differently, and through its dark surface, they could see flashes of movement. Something vast and tentacled was pressing against the barrier between dimensions. "It's been trying to break through for the past few hours," Sarah realized. "Every time the anomaly grows, the barrier gets weaker." The dormitory building suddenly tilted even further as something massive pushed against the gateway from the other side. Windows shattered, and the sound of breaking concrete filled the air. "We need to close this thing now," Dr. Martinez said, backing away from the windows. Sarah worked frantically with the precursor analyzer, her mind interfacing with technology that was older than human civilization. The machine showed her exactly what frequencies were needed to collapse the gateway, but the solution was more complex than she had imagined. "The gateway is stabilized by a quantum lock," she explained as she worked. "I need to generate 3 specific frequencies in perfect harmony, but they have to be phase-shifted across multiple dimensions. And I have to do it for exactly 4.7 minutes, or the collapse will create an explosion instead. Can the equipment maintain that level of precision?" Tom asked. Sarah studied the readouts. "The precursor analyzer can, but I need to link it to our broadcasting system. The problem is human technology and precursor technology don't talk to each other very well." "Then we make them talk," Lisa said firmly. "What do you need?" Working together, the team created a bridge between human and alien technology. Sarah used her own nervous system as a conduit, placing one hand on the precursor analyzer and the other on her own equipment. The sensation was overwhelming, like being struck by lightning made of pure mathematics. Through the connection, she could feel the gateway's structure as if it were part of her own body. She began the shutdown sequence, generating the required frequencies with a precision that should have been impossible for human technology. But something was fighting back. The creature on the other side of the gateway realized what was happening and began pushing harder against the barrier. The anomaly expanded rapidly, and the dormitory building started to collapse entirely. "Sarah, the resonance is breaking down," Tom shouted over the noise of crumbling concrete. "Whatever's on the other side is disrupting the frequencies." Sarah gritted her teeth and pushed deeper into the interface with the precursor technology. She could see the creature now, something like a massive octopus made of dark energy, with intelligence burning in its alien eyes. It had been trapped in its dimension for millions of years, and the gateway represented its only chance of escape. "I'm sorry," she whispered to the creature. though she doubted it could understand. But I can't let you destroy my world. She reached deeper into the machine's capabilities than any human had ever gone before. The interface burned against her hands, and her vision filled with patterns of light that existed in colors she didn't have names for. But she held on, maintaining the harmonic lock even as the creature's struggles grew more desperate. For 7 minutes had never felt so long. Sarah counted each second as she fought to maintain the resonance pattern, her nervous system serving as a bridge between technologies separated by millions of years of evolution. Around her, she could hear her friends calling her name, but their voices seemed to come from very far away. Finally, the timer reached 0. Sarah triggered the collapse sequence, and the gateway began to fold in on itself. The creature on the other side gave one final push, its tentacles briefly breaking through into normal space before being pulled back into its own dimension. The anomaly shrank rapidly, 15 feet, 10 feet, 5 feet, 1 foot. Then, with a sound like reality itself sighing in relief, it disappeared entirely. The space where it had been looked perfectly normal, except for a small scorch mark on what remained of Sarah's desk. Sarah collapsed, her hands still smoking from contact with the precursor technology. Tom and Lisa caught her before she hit the ground. "Is it over?" Dr. Martinez asked, afraid to believe it. Commander Veltar scanned the area with every instrument his team possessed. "The anomaly is gone. Space-time has returned to normal parameters. The gateway is sealed." Sarah managed a weak smile. "Good, because I don't think I could do that again if I tried." But even as the emergency crews began to assess the damage, she was already thinking about what she had learned. The precursor analyzer had shown her things about the nature of reality that no human had ever known before. And somewhere in the back of her mind, she could still feel an echo of that vast intelligence from beyond the gateway. The real question was, were there others? 3 weeks later, Sarah stood in what used to be her dorm room, now officially designated as Zone 0 by the Galactic Federation. The building had been stabilized, but this particular room would never be safe for normal occupation again. Trace amounts of precursor energy still lingered in the walls, creating small distortions that made electronics malfunction and caused headaches in sensitive individuals. "No one will ever live here again," Commander Veltar said, standing beside her. "The space itself has been fundamentally altered by your experiment. But that is not why I asked you here today." Sarah turned to face him. Over the past 3 weeks, she had been debriefed by Federation officials, examined by doctors, and tested by scientists who wanted to understand how a human mind could interface directly with precursor technology. The experience had changed her in ways she was still discovering. "The Federation Council has reached a decision about your case," the commander continued. "By rights, you should be facing criminal charges for unauthorized experimentation with dangerous alien artifacts. The damage to university property alone would normally result in significant penalties." Sarah nodded. She had expected this. "I understand, Commander. What I did was reckless and dangerous." "Yes, it was," he agreed. "It was also remarkable. In 300 years of studying precursor artifacts, no member of the Galactic Federation has ever successfully interfaced with their technology the way you did. Our best scientists require teams of specialists and months of preparation to achieve what you accomplished in minutes." He activated a holographic display showing brain scans and energy readings from her encounter with the precursor analyzer. "Your neural patterns during the interface were unlike anything we have ever recorded. Human consciousness appears to be naturally compatible with precursor technology in a way that no other known species is." "What does that mean?" Sarah asked. "It means, Miss Chun, that you may represent a new chapter in galactic history. The Federation has been trying to unlock precursor secrets for centuries. We have recovered thousands of artifacts, but most remain incomprehensible to us. With your unique abilities, we might finally be able to understand what the precursors were trying to tell us." Sarah looked around her former room, remembering how it had all started with simple curiosity and a desire to learn. "Are you offering me a job?" "We are offering you an opportunity to change the galaxy," Commander Veltar said seriously. The Federation has established a new research division, the Precursor Studies Initiative. You would work with a team of the galaxy's best scientists, exploring artifacts and technologies that could advance civilization by thousands of years. And if I say no, then you return to your studies here and graduate as planned. No charges will be filed. Your actions, while dangerous, ultimately save this city from destruction. The Federation recognizes that human ingenuity, even when reckless, often produces beneficial results. Sarah smiled at that. You make us sound like useful disasters. In a way, you are. Your species has been part of the Galactic Federation for only 5 years, yet you have already contributed more innovations than some species manage in centuries. Human unpredictability is both your greatest weakness and your greatest strength. Dr. Martinez appeared in the doorway, carrying a tablet full of forms. Sarah, I need you to sign these insurance documents for the university. Also, there are several dozen researchers from across the galaxy who want to interview you about your interface experience. Sarah took the tablet, but didn't immediately sign it. Instead, she walked to the window and looked out at the campus. Students are already moving back into the other rooms in the building. Life was returning to normal, except for this one forbidden space. Commander, she said finally, if I join this research division, will I be working alone? Not at all. We plan to recruit other humans with similar aptitudes. Your success suggests that human neural architecture may be uniquely suited for precursor interface work. We believe there are others like you among your species, and we would study all precursor artifacts. Eventually, yes. We have sites on dozens of worlds containing technology we do not understand. Some of it may be dangerous, like the gateway you accidentally opened. But much of it could revolutionize our understanding of physics, biology, and consciousness itself. Sarah thought about the creature she had glimpsed through the gateway, the vast intelligence trapped in another dimension. She wondered how many other beings might be waiting on the other side of precursor devices, and whether they were all hostile or if some might be trying to communicate. There's something I haven't told you, she said. When I was interfacing with the analyzer, I sensed something. The creature that was trying to come through the gateway. I don't think it was malevolent. I think it was desperate, lonely. Commander Veltar's skin changed to a deep purple, the Altarian expression of surprise. You believe it was trying to communicate? I think all of them are, Sarah said. The precursors didn't just leave behind technology. They left behind messages. And maybe some of them are still alive, waiting for someone with the right kind of mind to hear them. She signed the insurance forms and handed them back to Dr. Martinez. Commander, when does the research division begin operations? As soon as you are ready, Miss Chun. Sarah looked one last time at the room where it had all started. Zone 0, a place where reality had been broken and then repaired by human stubbornness and alien wisdom working together. It seemed like an appropriate symbol for what was to come. I'm ready now, she said, but I have one condition. When we start exploring precursor sites, we don't go in assuming everything is dangerous. We go in assuming they were trying to teach us something important. And maybe if we listen carefully enough, we'll finally understand what they wanted us to know. Commander Veltar's forearms moved in what Sarah had learned was the Altarian gesture of deep respect. I believe, Miss Chun, that this is exactly the kind of thinking the galaxy needs. Welcome to the Precursor Studies Initiative. As they left Zone 0 behind, Sarah could have sworn she felt a faint pulse from the walls. Not dangerous this time, but almost like a heartbeat. The precursors were still out there, waiting in their artifacts and gateways, hoping that someone would finally understand their message. And Sarah Chun, the human who had accidentally opened a doorway between dimensions in her dorm room, was determined to be the one who figured out what they were trying to say. The galaxy was about to get very interesting.